Welcome to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. I have a very, very spectacular panel today. I got the Italiano, I got Seymour Duck. We're talking all about this Elon Musk versus Bob Iger drama going on right now. There's a lot to dive into. We're going to break it down on this episode of the Orange Nerd Show. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. Today we're talking all about this Elon Musk, Bob Iger drama. A lot going on with this. But before we get started, I want to introduce my fantastic panel. I'm going to start with you, Seymour. If you could let everybody know at home where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, you can find me on X. I was going to say Twitter, but X at Mr. Seymour Duck.
Perfect. And yeah, and everyone at home, you can definitely I'm going to link his X account in the description. So definitely give Seymour a follow. He's a fantastic follow. A lot of great insight on just everything in the business world regarding Disney and everything like that. So make sure you follow him. He is family on OG55. Down below, we got the Italiano. George, if you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Perfect. All right, let's dive into this. So a lot has happened with Elon Musk and Bob Iger. We all saw that town hall meeting, which I think was hosted by the one and only CNBC, right? Where Elon Musk, basically told Bob Iger he can go F himself, real professional, of course. And there's been a whole kind of war going on, kind of a one-sided war in a lot of ways. It seems like Elon is kind of throwing shots at Disney and Bob Iger. I don't really see much in the other direction, except for Disney kind of pulling out their ads. But Seymour, I'm going to start with you. What are your overall thoughts on this? I mean, it's crazy to see this kind of in real time. Where do you stand with this?
I see a lot of people on X, but just on X, I haven't seen this pushback coming on other social media platforms, right? I don't see it on Facebook. I don't see it on Instagram. I don't see it on Threads, even though that's a smaller user base, or even TikTok, about how everyone wants to boycott Disney. To me, I feel like the general public actually doesn't really care. They might see it in the news, but they actually don't care. And the subset of users that are actually on X are actually low compared to everyone else, even lower than Snapchat. And that's one of the bigger these social media companies, right? Even like if you look at some of the other companies, even Meta, all their users, there's over 3 billion daily compared to like just over 200 million on X. And to me, I feel like you see a lot of people on X talking about boycotting, but I don't think that it's actually happening, right? And to me, what I'm seeing is that Elon's afraid. I know I'm going to get a backlash from that because I know a lot of people on X likes Elon, but advertisers were leaving the platform before this whole fiasco of Disney. And
you're right, Seymour. And I'm going to let you finish. I just want to pull this up because this was actually from February of this year, where more than half of Twitter's top 1,000 advertisers stopped spending on the platform. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and I've been talking about it and advocating on X about okay, we're boycotting Disney, and I don't think the general public even cares. But going forward, how are you going to rectify this issue? Because you just told all the advertisers, even potential advertisers, even the ones before this fiasco, to F themselves. How are you going to rectify this issue? You hired Linda from NBCU, who's into the advertising field, a veteran. You hired her for this specific reason, and yet you have Elon, who's not the CEO of X, who's only the owner of X, but still taking charge and telling everyone, even though you're the main revenue source of this company, F you. And I feel like that's kind of to me kind of ridiculous. You just took your revenue source, even though you're already down 50%. Elon said in July that he's already down 50% over the year for their uh, advertising revenue, and that was before Apple and Disney left. And Disney and Apple were their top two. Yeah, right there, right? Negative cash flow due to 50% drop in advertising revenue. Like, these are words coming from Elon. This is why when I saw that interview that he was panicking, he was shaken up, because he's realizing that the top two advertising companies who he praised about how Apple and Disney still stayed at this time frame in July have left. And
Well,
he's pushing this narrative that we should boycott Disney when boycotts don't work. They never work. I've seen boycotts for Target. I've seen boycotts for Bud Light. Bud Light, their revenue is all-time highs, and their stock went down a little bit, and then they went back up because in the market sometimes they're just fearful. But when the results come in, they don't show what these boycotts show. People not boycotting, they never work.
It's almost like with boycotting, as you had mentioned, Seymour. The controversy is what kind of draws the people in. It's like, you know what, they're kind of badass in the sense. So it's like, as people then buy their products or what have you, then yeah, the percentage goes up. So I actually agree with you on that. That I feel like boycotting doesn't really, for these big time corporations, it doesn't really go anywhere. It's not. It's too big of a community, so to speak, that
right.
it's just it would be a pin drop to the amount of people that would actually end up boycotting.
Exactly. And on top of that, you hear this boycott for Disney for the past 3 years. How many times can one person boycott Disney?
I know. How many times are you gonna unsubscribe to Disney Plus, conservatives? How many
Like,
times?
I don't understand. One aspect you hear from the same side, Disney is woke, so you want to cancel them because you want to limit their speech. But at the same time, you want to cancel them because they're limiting your speech. So which is it? Which is it, right? Are you advocating for free speech or not? Because private companies, public companies, within the law, they have the right to free speech as well. And this double standard is just a bit frustrating to me.
And
Well,
honestly, really, I've actually seen people do that. It's like, oh, Disney didn't piss me off this month. I think I'll resubscribe to Disney Plus. And then after just one little article that comes out, it's like, oh, yep, I'm totally against that. I'm canceling my subscription. And then it's like they just keep on going back and forth. It's like you do realize that doesn't cause any kind of impact towards the company, one
no.
iota.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like this whole thing, and I think it was Jay Shear, friend of the channel, where he said Elon's kind of rant that he did on CNBC was very much an emotional driven rant. And I gotta agree with him. This is a man, and you said it too, Seymour. This is a man in panic mode. He bought Twitter, and Twitter is not doing great. For all the talk and all the bluster we see on X from one side of the aisle, saying how, oh well, Disney, they're going under, yada yada yada. We need Elon to come in and fix the mess. It's like, you want Elon to come in and fix the mess? How has he done for Twitter? He's completely botched the whole rebranding of this platform. Like, no one really calls it X, right? Like, that whole thing was like a joke. It's X, formerly known as Twitter. It's like everyone still has their foot in the Twitter door. The branding has been an absolute mess. The money's not there. He even admitted at that town hall thing with CNBC that, if the ad poll continues, that the company will probably sink. He even said that it would be Disney's fault and all these companies' fault, and he's going to let Earth know. Remember that whole thing?
This is what's so frustrating with me with these big time business people or moguls. It's like they blame everybody else except for themselves. They don't take accountability that, there is a wee bit smidge that there's a possibility that you're the one that fucked it up, not somebody else. Part of my French. But it's my issue with Musk for this particular issue is that there were how many other companies that ended up pulling out with their ads. And yes, I do know that Disney and Apple is one of the top tiers, but all the other companies still became unscathed with not even getting even a mention. But lo and behold, here comes Elon Musk ranting with Disney, ranting with Bob Iger. I guess he was the next in line. His ticket got pulled to smear Bob Iger, because it seems like that's like the way now. It's
Well,
just
it gets it George, yeah, you're right. No one else is getting the heat, right? And there was like
Nope.
literally, I don't even know how many companies. I think it's probably, and maybe Seymour, you know the exact number, but it seems like maybe 15 or 20 companies pulled their ads. This is not a Disney exclusive issue. And then people talk about, well, Bob Iger shouldn't have spoke out about it. He only spoke out about it because the CNBC interview guy asked him about it. Go ahead, Seymour.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, everyone's talking about boycotting Disney as they type on their iPhones, who's also the same company. And I find it very ironic because, you're spending your money for that company. You vote for your wallet. So if you don't agree what they're doing with the company, limiting free speech, why are you giving them their money to buy iPhones, MacBooks, iPads? I find that very, like, a double standard, very hypocritical. You boycott Disney, but you will not boycott anything else that's very inconvenient for you, or the other brands, even though the culture is the same, everything's the same. Like Apple's, like, the CEO, he came out proudly as a gay man, and nobody gave a backlash for that. Nobody calls Apple woke. Nobody does this. I find it ironic that only Disney, because Disney right now is the easiest target to do.
And that's what I was just going to mention, Seymour. I'm glad you brought that up, because it does seem like that Disney is the target. They're always in the crossfires, no matter which decision they make. If Disney had not done a thing and pulled any ads off of X, then people would have been coming after them because of all the history of like anti-Semitic type of things and everything. Then that would have been brought up, thinking, oh, Disney, you didn't pull out, all these other companies did, how come you didn't? And then there goes another Chapek era all over again. So it's like, but this time it would be with Iger, and it just seems like no matter which way they go,
You fall on one side of the trap or the other, George.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's like the CNBC interview, right? If he answers the question, he's getting involved in politics. If he avoids the question, then he's avoiding the question. Therefore, he must be guilty of something sinister. There's no way. That's where we're at right now with Disney. There's nothing they can really do that's going to appease these people, that's going to please them, that's going to make it okay. It's like the Rotten Tomatoes score. When the score is bad, it's legit. When it's good, Disney bought the score. There's no equation where Disney looks like a good guy for some of these people. You know what I'm saying? And the thing too that really frustrates me, or not even frustrates me, that it's kind of funny, is that a lot of people are saying, well, Media Matters, they lied and they twisted things, and that's why all these companies came out, and they're, it's because of them. It's like, and that might be true. I don't know, but you know what? Here's the thing: these are private companies. They don't really even need a reason to pull their ads. It doesn't really matter if it's Media Matters or because Bob Iger doesn't like Elon Musk's haircut. He has the right, and Disney has a right, and Apple has a right, and Microsoft has a right, and Comcast has a right to pull back on their advertising dollars if they want to. They don't need a reason. They don't owe Elon anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And go ahead, Seymour.
Oh, I just wanted to add to that. It's funny because everyone's talking about just this whole fiasco with Disney and Media Matters, but they don't talk about the companies who left before. Coca-Cola left, Procter & Gamble left, PepsiCo left, like Heinz left. All these big companies left prior to Disney and these media companies leaving. Where's the backlash for that? Because Elon didn't say anything now? Only because Elon's bashing on Disney? That's why we have to get outraged? Did you actually care about free speech? Or you were just on the sidelines until everyone is now attacking?
Right. And then a lot of these people, they don't want companies to get political, but then Elon gets political, and it's like standing ovation for this guy. It's like, well, what is it, you guys? Like, you rail all over Disney when they get political or get involved in this stuff, but Elon does the same thing and gets political, and he gets all the praise.
Because it seems like it's the same people that it's because it's their political agenda.
That's what it is. Exactly. And I've been saying that, George, for a long time. It's not they want to get the politics out. It's like they want to just have their politics in. That's all it is. It's like, with the entertainment industry, right? We don't want woke entertainment, but we're going to go ahead and support the Daily Wire's content. The Daily Wire is a political news outlet. They make content. So you support literally a political outlet making content because that's somehow a protest or a statement against Disney being woke. Like, it's literally like, it's even worse. It's even more political coming from the Daily Wire. I don't understand. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely
It's
crazy.
a contradiction. It's a straight contradiction.
Oh, it is. It is.
And my thing is, and I really do believe that when Iger stated that 2026 was going to be, done for him as far as CEO, this time I'm starting to lean more towards that that's really what it's going to be. I really don't think he really knew how much of an issue of him coming back was going to be, because now he is targeted, and he's a person that's not like that. He's not used to getting that kind of a negative attention in the public eye. He was always like the golden child that can do no wrong, and now he has to deal with all this obstacles and issues. And I truly feel like that, when he said 2026, I feel like, this is it. Now, as far as with Elon Musk, with him being a billion-dollar mogul and a business guy, to actually have it recorded with an interview live, to use such language, it shows the true type of person he is, what kind of character he has. He has no respect whatsoever, whether you disagree with someone or not, whether you're pissed off about something or not. There's a certain way of how to handle yourself.
Well,
and it just kind of just showcased him as a whole nother person, to actually go on there and use such language towards the company, towards Bob Iger. It's completely uncalled for.
He's scared, George.
That's my job. That's my job. Like, as far as
language, yeah. No, I know, but no, he's scared. He's panicking.
Yeah.
He knows that this means the end of X. Basically. I mean, he's not. They're not. He's not. It's not going to survive. Yeah. It's not going to survive. And I mean, even to that CNBC interview, he didn't even get the interviewer's name right. He tried to make an appeal to the interviewer. I think he called him Jonathan or something, and his name was something else. And the guy and the interviewer even corrected him. I mean, so Elon is constantly in like salesman mode.
It definitely shows
he's a phony baloney,
It shows his vulnerability of how much he's actually failing with X. It's definitely showing. I wanted to ask you both a question. Now, with another kind of interview, Elon mentioned about, this company is what Walt, this was his company. He'd be rolling in his grave and what have you. So it does make me wonder, is it more of a controlling thing for him, that it's not necessarily the company or the Disney name itself, but it's who's running it that's more his issue?
I think the issue is, I think he saw Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis used the war on the mouse house to his advantage politically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing.
Right? Yeah. And Elon is like, I'm going to jump in on that. Go ahead, Seymour. I'll let you kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, because right now that's the easiest target. It's going after Disney and all these other, like Ron DeSantis, right? They're just going after Disney, and it's the easiest thing.
It's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
It gets him the instant headline, and it takes away from the fact that X is failing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been trying to say online on X itself, that the advertising revenue has been down. The return on investment has been down. These companies, specifically even Walmart, right? A conservative company who pulled out their advertising and publicly stated, we want to spend our money elsewhere because that's where our users are. We're not getting the growth that we're getting on X. And it's because X is not working as an advertising platform. It's not. Ever since he's been the owner, well, he was CEO and then just the owner, it's been on a downtrend for advertisers. Even before this whole fiasco. And that's what I've tried to emphasize. It's like, okay, even if you bring these advertisers back, why will they spend their money if you're not giving them what they need? It's a business after all, right? At the end of the day, they want to make money.
Yeah, no, 100%, Seymour. And you brought up a great point on Twitter, man. And I completely agree with what you're saying here, where you said basically this war on Disney, Elon doesn't really understand what that does, right? Where it's like he's declaring war on Disney, and he's basically telling every other advertiser, you step out of line, this can be you next. Like, do you think any of these companies are going to want to get in bed with this guy again? Mm-hmm. Knowing that if they step out of line or they say the wrong thing, it could be them
it's because Disney is such a high name brand company that he's basically using it as his headliner as a threat to these other companies. It's like, if I could do it to Disney, I could do it to you, you know?
Well, and that's the issue that I had with Ron DeSantis and the Florida stuff was, and I've been saying this for a year, well, it's ever since the Reedy Creek stuff was going on, in that when you go after a company like Disney, you send a message to every other business. You know, what does that say to Apple, who's also very progressive and who wants to maybe invest in Florida? You're telling them that, oh, well, one wrong move, Apple, and you could be punished too, just like the Mouse House, right?
That's true. I have seen a lot of articles that were talking about how that Ron DeSantis was losing a lot of backers in the Wall Street because of this, because the businesses he's pushing this political take for them, and a lot of Republicans like money. A lot of Republicans, they're pro-business, and when you're attacking Disney, you're attacking, Republicans who are also stakeholders within that company.
No,
I remember this one saying that Michael Jordan said during an interview, right? He's like, how come you never speak out with politics, right? How come you never talk about if you're Democrat or Republican? And he said, because Republicans buy shoes as well.
Right. That's well said. Well said. Exactly.
Nice.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So there's a lot of isolation going on here with Elon. And that's the thing. You go on X, man, and you see these narratives being kind of spun out there that he's winning. He is not winning. Look, if I'm a betting man, I'll put money on the table that Disney will still be around in 5 years. I don't know if X is going to be around in 5 years. And I don't know if all these people that are defending Elon can even say that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and he knows that. And he knows that. That's where it's his defense mechanism. It's almost like you have to make yourself look as if you're this high, mighty person that is like in control of everything, when basically it's your own insecurities that's showing through.
Yeah, well, he's got to look. His house is on fire, and he's looking at the neighbor, going, "Oh, your stove is broken." Like, okay, man, worry about your own house. You know what I'm saying? Is that kind of situation right now. So we'll see. He's gambling big time with this because he thinks that Disney is a hot button thing, and he can win some brownie points and score some points with the conservatives or what have you. But here's the thing: Seymour's right though. A lot of conservatives aren't on board with attacking big business or attacking business in general. A lot of them are very pro business, pro market. That's why I think you don't really see Trump out there. I mean, look, occasionally Trump will have like a line or two where he talks about woke Disney, but he's not going after Disney every day like DeSantis was, or just railing on Disney every single day, because Trump is a businessman and he understands that. He's not trying to do that. He understands the investment that Disney brings into Florida and what have you. He's smart about it. He's a smarter politician than like a DeSantis, and he's smarter than Elon Musk. Elon is completely setting himself on fire with this. He's completely shooting himself in the foot, and he's not only is he completely burning a bridge with Disney, but everybody else in that circle. So it's go ahead, Seymour. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, and I don't understand why he doesn't let Linda do all the talking. She's the one who has the experience in advertising. I remember this interview that she did before she was CEO, which I think is why Elon hired her, about how all these advertisers have concerns with this platform. They want their brand safety. They want to ensure that, these brands are not going to get attacked on these platforms. Their content are not going to be attached to anything that's not related to them or their target market. And he didn't care. He said, if I lose money, that's good enough for me because I'm advocating for free speech. And she was saying that on there. Like, these advertisers have concerns. And I'm sure that's why she was hired on as the CEO to ensure these advertisers, but they're not getting that. I remember back in 2019, a similar issue happened to Mark Zuckerberg, and advertisers wanted to leave as well. He didn't speak out. He did everything in the background, and everyone came back. That's what you should have done as a CEO. But now you told all the advertisers to F you, even though you have a CEO who could talk to them. It's getting ridiculous to me.
Oh, you know what? You're right, Seymour. And I bet you she resigns. I bet you, I don't know exactly timeline, but soonish, I bet you we see her step down, because I would if I was her. He's completely bypassing her and making a mockery of this whole thing, and she's just trying to do a job here. I feel bad for her, to be honest with you. If I was her, I'd walk. That's her reputation on the line, and he doesn't seem to let her. He's not putting the trust into her to do the job that she was hired to do. And he's circumventing that and going on these tirades these insane tirades, these weird, like the people of Earth will decide, all this weird language and everything. He sounds like a lunatic. He really does. And if I was her, I'd just walk out. You know what? She's a smart woman. She can do better. Go to some other company and do that. Because this guy is not it. And Twitter is X or whatever it is not. I don't think it's that long on this earth. You know, I do think that it's a sinking ship at this point, and all these advertisers know it too. They all know it.
I think it would be ironic if she leaves him and then goes over to Disney.
Oh God, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Now, Seymour, I want to ask you, because you're a finance guy. George and I got a DM from a friend of the channel, Slimer. We love Slimer. He has a theory that this might be kind of a move, like a move from Elon to sort of maybe buy. Obviously, he can't afford Disney. I mean, that's no one person could.
No.
But is this? Do you think this? He was saying that maybe it's a move to maybe buy a good chunk.
Like he doesn't have the money for it. Everything he has is within Tesla shares. He would have to flood Tesla shares within that market, and all the Tesla shareholders will be diluted. Stock price will go down, hurt that company while trying to buy another company. He doesn't have the money. He even said in an interview that all my money's in Tesla. So if Tesla doesn't do well, I don't do well. And on top of that, this is the reason why Tesla went down to almost $100, because he had to sell for like 4 times already to sell Tesla shares to fund X, because X loan was so huge. It was like $40 billion. And then he had to bring it down and ensure that the interest costs go down. And even then, he's still paying like $1.35 billion a year on interest. He can't afford to pay X now. I don't think he can afford to pay anything. I don't think can happen, because if that happens, everything will get destroyed around it.
Yeah.
Which then answers the question why OG and I got stuck in the Tesla with our Uber.
Yeah, we had, George and I, when he was down here, we took an Uber, and the guy had a Tesla, and we were trapped in there. We couldn't get out. We couldn't unlock the doors, and the guy had to get out and walk around, and the whole thing. It was a mess. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, okay, so yeah, I mean he's just not financially sound right now enough to do that. Okay, that's good, because I think that he's been an absolute disaster with Twitter. I would hate for him to get involved in any way with Disney. I care too much about this company. I don't want him going near it. He's been an absolute mess. And Disney is a brand. You know, Disney's a heavily beloved brand. And in terms of branding, I mean, at least with X or Twitter, he's done a really garbage job with that. You know, the rebranding and all that has been an absolute mess. And for him to go over to Disney and have any kind of say, oh my gosh, it'd be an absolute disaster. Now, I will say this, though. If that did happen, let's just say, you know, God forbid, Elon did take a big chunk of the Walt Disney Company. He has a huge share, and he landed a board position or something. That would completely destroy the conservative stuff on YouTube and what have you, because their boogeyman now is gone, which is Disney, because now your boy Elon's running the show. Like, what are they going to talk about? I mean, that would completely destroy that industry on YouTube.
Yeah.
But, you know. And
I don't think it's going to get approved in the courts as well. I know a lot of people talk about like Apple buying Disney as well on that. In the courts, you're going to have these lawsuits for antitrust, everything about it. If he tries to buy this company up, now I don't think it's going to get approved.
Yeah, that's good news. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think this is just kind of a distract game from him. He knows X is failing, and I think he knows Disney gets the headlines, so he's going to focus on Bob Iger and talk about, you know, Walt Disney rolling in his grave, even though Walt Disney was cremated. But okay,
yeah,
you know. Yeah, you know, we'll see, but it's fascinating stuff. It really is fascinating stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, Seymour, I want to ask you, like, where do you see this? How do you see this whole war between Elon and Bob ending? Like, how does this end? Does this end soon? Is this going to be a protracted battle? Where does this go?
If Elon keeps going on with this trajectory of saying "F you" to the advertisers, X is not going to be there anymore. And everyone's going to forget about it. Everyone's going to forget the boycotts with Disney that Elon state, because people forget the internet, you know, they're, you know, 1 or 2 weeks and then we're moved on to the next thing. Before we were talking about GTA boycotts, and now we're back to Disney. Everything changes so quickly. But like, I don't think X will survive out of all this, because that's what I've been saying on X. If you have to look for a path for the future, and just yelling at these advertisers are not the way to go. And if you're going to keep doing that, X is going to go out of business. You're going to lose a lot of money, and then he's going to have to sell some of these Tesla shares just to pay back some of the loan. If he wants it to survive, it's going to be bad, really bad. Because
Interesting. George, your thoughts, predictions going forward.
I do agree with Seymour as far as like with the with Elon and X situation, with the company itself. I think with him just as a person, I feel like that he's the type that will just keep on throwing it out there, regardless of how X is doing or not, just to kind of throw like a monkey wrench into what's already a corrupt system, so to speak. And I feel like honestly, he'll just keep going along with a lot of these other people that until Iger ends up leaving or when his contract ends in 2026 without renewing, then I feel like that they'll then find somebody else to hit that target. But I mean, specifically with Iger, I feel like it's unless Iger decides to leave abruptly, which I don't think he will. I think that would kill his image too much. But I would think, honestly, throughout 2026 up until ending, I think it won't be as strong as it is now. It'll kind of dilute in a way, but I feel like there will always be that tension between Iger and Musk moving forward.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's become the kind of the conservative like kind of battle song or rallying cry, right? Like this whole thing again, the war against the mouse house, and it's just what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's unfair because there's so many other companies that are pulling back from this. It's not just Disney. And I've argued with people on X about this, like, but it's not just Disney. Well, these other companies didn't get involved. I mean, Disney really didn't either. They pulled back like everybody else did. They pulled back like Comcast. Disney only made a comment about it because CNBC, which is owned by Comcast, asked them a question. I mean, what do you want the guy to do? You know what I'm saying? He's putting on the spot. Now,
do you think that was a trap? As far as by that, because I mean, look who did the interview.
That's what I'm saying. And Seymour and I, we talked about this Seymour a lot on the channel and everything. Yeah, CNBC is not Disney's friend in any way.
No,
I don't know why Iger keeps going on there.
I was just going to say he really should just like stay away from that news.
Wasn't there just an article on CNBC talking about how Disney and this boycott, even though Comcast did the same thing, and they left that part out?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there was an article. They were bashing Disney, how they should have been talking, they should have done this, they should have done that. Yet Comcast did it. I don't understand why the double standard there. They're focusing on this issue, yet they're not realizing that they're part of the issue as well.
Yeah, it's sinister. I mean, I think they know they are part, but I think they are purposely leaving it out, lie by omission, kind of, And I've even tagged Iger in tweets. I'm telling him, like, Iger, stop going on CNBC, man. Hopefully you get this tweet, but like, they're not your friends. Like, you have a news outlet. Like, go utilize ABC. Go on ESPN. I don't care where you go, Bob. Don't go on CNBC. Every time he goes on that network, they get him with the gotcha. They get him with the gotcha every single time. I don't understand it. Brian Roberts hates the guy. He hates Bob Iger. Why are you going on his network constantly? Now, we'll see if that changes, because I know Hugh Johnston is actually on the CNBC CFO board or whatever it is, committee or something. So maybe when he officially comes into Disney, maybe the BS games between CNBC and Disney sort of subsides a little bit, because Hugh Johnston is like that, that connective tissue. I don't know. We'll see. But if I was Bob, though, I wouldn't go on that network. I don't know why he continues to do it. I get it. It's the #1 financial news network out there. But you're Bob Iger. Your message is going to get out there. Even if you go on PBS, it'll go out there. Like, you don't need CNBC to get your message out there. It just seems like a waste to me, an absolute waste to me. But he keeps walking into it.
Because that's how social media is. You're right, OG. No matter what news outlet that you use, once you make a statement and you're the Bob Iger that you're claiming, you're the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, you can't get touched, then obviously it's almost like he kind of lost his mentality of like how much control he has as CEO. it's almost like a little bit of his fire got dimmed when he came back, because I could definitely see a difference in him, like from when he was the Iger 1.0 to the 2.0.
Right.
And I just feel like it's without him even really noticing what's going on. He's trying to find ways to cut corners, but those decisions are making more of an obstacle for him.
Well, and that's why I said when we did the video on the town hall recently, I said that's why I think he avoided the Q&A. Wasn't the questions, because the questions, they could easily screen that and basically feed him pre-approved questions. I think it was his answer being twisted and spun and clipped that he was more worried about.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, apparently, that's what happens every single time Bob Iger gets in front of a microphone. It's the outrage machine. You know, you have a group of people that are just looking for something to be mad about, and they're gonna find something. If they have to manufacture it, spin it, do whatever they got to do about it, just to make, to have that outrage machine, fueled. They'll do it. So it's fascinating. But Seymour, always a pleasure having you on, brother. We will definitely have you on again very, very soon. If you can remind everybody, sir, where they can find you on social media.
Oh yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Seymour Duck.
Perfect. And his X account will be down in the description below. Make sure you follow Seymour. Incredible insight into like the financial world of Disney, all that stuff. He gets into, huge Nintendo fan too. If you're big on Nintendo, you got to be following Seymour 100%. So check him out on X, link down below. The Italiano, thank you, sir, for joining us. If you could remind everybody at home where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Perfect. Comment down below with everything that we discussed today, whether you agree with us, whether you disagree with us. What are your thoughts on this whole Elon versus Bob fiasco? Really, is what it is. Are you pro Elon? I mean, do you think that he's right with this? Are you pro Disney? Are you pro Bob Iger? We'd love to hear from you. Comment down below. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.